Today, we're cracking open some really fascinating material. It's about a true titan of music. Our source calls him the father of funk, an absolute revolutionary.
And Sly Stone.
Exactly. We're diving into these excerpts from an article. It explores his, wild and complex journey, right? And his legacy.
That's right. And our mission really is to unpack that story. Sylvester, Stewart, Sly Stone. We want to pull out the key insights from this article for you.
Yeah, cover the whole arc.
From his early life, that groundbreaking rise, then the struggles, the obscurity, and ultimately his profound, enduring impact.
Okay, let's unpack it. So, the material tells us Sly was born in Denton, Texas. That was back in 1943.
Right.
He grew up in this deeply religious household. Church music was apparently everything.
Yeah, and it sounds like he was one of those kids who just breathed music, a prodigy.
Totally. Mastering piano, guitar, drums, bass, seriously, all of it.
Incredible.
And this was from an incredibly young age, well before the family moved out to California.
And that move, well, it really set the stage for something new, didn't it?
Seems like it.
In the early 60s, he wasn't just playing, he was a radio DJ too, soaking up all sorts of sounds.
Ah, interesting.
But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. 1966. He forms Sly and the Family Stone.
The legendary group.
And it wasn't just a band. The article makes a point of saying they were arguably the first major American act like this.
Meaning?
Integrated. Members of different races, different genders, all fundamental to their sound, their message.
Wow, in the late 60s.
Yeah. Think about that timing. It was absolutely revolutionary.
No kidding. And they just exploded onto the scene, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
That 68 album, Dance to the Music, was just the start.
And then that string of hits. Just timeless stuff.
Everyday people, thank you. Call it to me, be myself again.
Right. Family affair, if you want me to stay.
What's fascinating, and the source points this out, is the music wasn't just catchy. It had this powerful message.
Very clear. Racial equality, peace, self-expression.
And the sound itself. Blending funk, soul, rock, psychedelic stuff. Nobody had really done it quite like that before.
The source even notes his early use of tech, like the drum machine, was pioneering, kind of laid the groundwork for future genres.
And all that energy, that message, that sound, it all came together at Woodstock, right?
Yeah.
1959.
Definitely. The article really paints that as their absolute peak. Culturally, musically, everything. One of the most legendary live shows ever.
So after that incredible high, what does the source say happened next? Because this is where the story takes a sharp turn.
Yeah, it's a difficult turn. That huge success, the pressure, the creative intensity.
It got to him.
Well, the material points pretty clearly to how Sly's life sadly became overtaken by substance abuse, which led to, unreliability, missed shows, personal issues, and that ultimately fractured the band.
Right, so the band eventually disbanded.
Yeah, and the article details these long stretches where he just vanished from public view.
Like really disappeared.
There was even a period, it says, where he was living out of a van. It really makes you think about the price of that kind of fame, that intensity.
Yeah, definitely. He did try comebacks, right, in the 80s and 90s.
He did, but the source notes, they never quite recaptured that original magic, that unique spark of the Family Stone.
It wasn't the same.
Not quite. And then into the 2000s, the story describes mostly obscurity, isolation.
That's tough.
One significant detail mentioned is that he did successfully sue his record label for unpaid royalties. He won a settlement.
Okay, good.
But the article really underscores he never truly regained that status, never really returned to performing regularly.
Wow. So the man once called the King of Funk
Lived a quiet, solitary life, eventually passing away in 2025 at age 82.
And the music world definitely paused then, reflected on his huge impact.
Absolutely.
Which brings us right to the legacy. The source argues Sly Stone did more than just lead a band. He sparked a whole movement.
Yeah, and what's powerful is looking at how his music redefined genres. It wasn't just solidifying funk.
No, it went further.
It profoundly influenced soul, rock, and maybe, most notably, provided this foundational blueprint for early hip-hop production.
You can really hear it.
If you connect the dots, artists across generations, Prince, George Clinton, Outkast, Lenny Kravitz, they've all credited him. A monumental influence.
You hear those echoes everywhere.
Exactly.
So where does this deep dive leave us? The article concludes that Sly Stone wasn't just a musician. He was, and these are its words, an ideology.
An ideology.
Yeah.
Centered on rhythm, color, and equality.
Right, pulling together the musical innovation, the band's diversity, the lyrical message. It's a powerful way to look at it.
It is. And his life, with that revolutionary rise and the difficult fall, it's a stark reminder. Success and downfall are often part of the journey.
Sure.
But the source's final thought is really striking. It says his true legacy isn't just measured by his personal highs and lows,
But
by the indelible impact he left on hearts and history through the music, the message.
That distinction between the personal journey and the lasting impact on culture, on history. What does that make you think about what legacy truly means? Something to maybe mull on long after the music fades.